This was your grand solution against copyright piracy? It's a f***ing shit solution.
I know, well, you know.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Brain Blaze. I am your host. Welcome to the channel. My name is Simon. I'm here. Danny writes me a script, the biggest censorship boomerangs, the Streisand effect. Oh my god, I love these. The Streisand effect refers to that that woman who bought that giant house in like Malibu or some shit, and is like a magazine published a picture of it. She was like suing them to take the picture down, and then because of this everyone was like, look, she's suing them to take the picture down, and everyone looks even harder at it. It's like a whoopsie-daisy. The Streisand effect, everybody. My favorite, let's go. Here we go! My favorite ever edition of the RBS newsletter was the one that got banned. Oh yeah, Danny used to write, RBS is a bank in the UK, and Danny used to work there, and he used to write their newsletter. So, unfortunately, since doing that, he's moved on to less creative endeavors, writing for me. I'm just kidding. And the one that got me into serious trouble with my employers. I briefly served somewhat reluctantly as an editor of a new RBS newspaper, which about 95% of the recipients never bothered to read, as it was full of boring rubbish about coffee mornings and missing scarves. Yeah, like corporate newsletters. I can't. I feel like the only time I've received these was like universities and stuff. And it'd just be filled with the most boring point that I'm not going to do. You'd be like, oh, I fell asleep. I'm sorry. No offense, Danny. I'm sure you made it great. I tried to spice it up, there you go, by writing a lot of waffling introductions, one of which dared to subtly imply that the RBS CEO, Fred Goodwin, might just be a witless moron. Danny, he's your boss. He's probably your boss's boss's boss, but he built boss.
Why do I hear boss music?
Where's the Kraken?
Oh!
It wasn't subtle enough. Shortly after the newsletter, he must have been dispatched production ground to hold, as every employee was ordered not to open this week's newsletter under any circumstances. Danny, did you say this almost got you fired? I'm kind of amazed that it didn't. The newsletter became the most popular in RBS history. Somebody else edited the following week's edition. You got fired from your newsletter job, but you kept your job at RBS. If management hadn't kicked up such a stink, the newsletter would most likely have sunk without a trace as usual. But as soon as we begin to suspect that an authoritative influence is attempting to suppress or censor or even totally erase a juicy piece of content, we immediately grow curious as to what it is they don't want us to see. That's my plan. I'm just going to be like, yeah, I've got an episode that I can't publish. Oh, I did this. There was the North Korea one because I didn't want to get assassinated by a foreign state. I mean, I'm less worried about it now. I think I don't know, I get a bit paranoid sometimes because you make all this stuff on the internet and you're like, you upset the wrong person. And the next thing you know, you're getting sprayed with VX gas underground in Pyongyang. You don't know.
Oh, good times.
Yeah.
And I was just like, nah, I don't want to publish that because nothing's going to happen. And I made a video the other day that I was recording it. I was halfway through and I was like, whoa. I cannot make this video because I'm going to get assassination. I'm like, journalists have been murdered by the people we're making a video about. And I know that video would be extremely popular.
No trial, no nothing. Journalists, we have a special jail for journalists.
I'm like, this video will get 1 million views. Like, maybe I can't be sure of 1 million, but I could be pretty sure, I could call that video is going to get 500,000 views. And that is enough views to be like, uh-oh. And there were no other videos about this on YouTube, despite it being quite a big thing, or not conspiracy, but an underworld thing. And then I was reading on Google about how journalists had been killed writing about this, thrown off balconies and shit. And I was like, yeah, hard pass. Hard pass on that. I don't want to get murdered by the Russians. Not the Russian state, but a sub-state unit of... It was terrifying. You Google it, you'll probably get there with what I'm telling you today, and you'll see why I didn't make a video about that. And no, I'm not going to release it, but people will be like, release the video! And I'm like, no. Because this isn't a house in Malibu. It's scary. And don't get me wrong, I feel like by saying this, it's like, oh, Simon, people will be thinking, oh, Simon, you're not that important. And it's like, I know that. But even if there's a 0.001% chance, and I'm like, hard pass. No thanks. Because the cost to me of not doing it is 0. because I can just make another video about something else. And so they end up accidentally drawing more attention to the very thing that they were trying to suppress, the very thing that nobody would have given a toss about until it was deemed to be forbidden fruit. It's a phenomenon that I like to call the Goodwin effect, but apparently Barbra Streisand beat me to it. The original Boomerang American singer and actress Barbra Streisand is a bit of an eco-warrior who has been known to express scathing criticism on those who don't share her admirable green values. Uh-oh. Is this house like, it's not going to be super green? And also, you're buying a giant house. Like, it's okay. You've got it, like, you heat it and stuff. Like, I know that I'm not the best person for the environment because I have a house, I have an office, I like to keep them warm, I don't have solar panels, I drive a car that is, too thirsty.
How dare you?
But I don't go around being like, I'm an eco-green warrior. And if I did, I'd be a hypocrite. And I think people have more of a problem with hypocrites than they do with people who drive thirsty cars. Generally. Like, that's more annoying. And if you've got this giant house in Malibu or whatever, the air conditioning bill, the heating bill is going to be massive because it's a massive house. But she's less willing to save the planet if it involves some thoughtless dickhead taking aerial photographs of a humongous luxury Californian mansion perched on the top of a cliff on the Malibu coastline. Fucking nailed. Did I say Malibu? I did say Malibu. For some reason I thought Malibu was in Florida. Is that Miami? I don't know. I don't care. Let's carry on. The thoughtless dickhead in question was Kenneth Adelman from the government-sanctioned California Coastal Records Project. In 2002, he and his wife Gabrielle jumped into a helicopter and took over 12,000 images of 840 miles of Californian coastline as part of a noble effort to help researchers and scientists study coastal erosion. That sounds like an awesome job. You're just flying around in a helicopter taking pictures of the coast? I want that. These images were uploaded onto the project's online gallery in early 2003, but one of them, image 3,850, didn't go down well with Barbara as it featured a stretch of coastline that just happened to include her mega mansion. Barbara clearly doesn't like nosy parkers. She filed a $50 million lawsuit against Kenneth and the image hosting services, describing the photographer as a vigilante of the skies who was threatening her security and showing website visitors how to access her private pad. What are you talking about? People can take photos of your shit if they're miles off the coast or far off the coast. If you don't like it, build like some sort of Chernobyl sarcophagus over your house and enjoy living inside there like some Truman Show weirdo. I'm not sure how she came to that conclusion. I would imagine that Barbara had some pretty robust security on the front gate, so unwelcome party crashers would either have to scale the cliffs or parachute their way in. And of course, Kenneth was hardly a member of the paparazzi attempting to capture sleazy celebrity photographs. His lawyers argued that he could hardly document a complete record of the California coastline if it omitted bits that happened to include coastal property owned by grumpy people who were wealthy enough to sue. Yeah. Of course it would be a huge issue, because I know Malibu. Malibu's nice. I've heard of Malibu. There's that Tenacious D song, Malibu Nights, Tangerine Dreams. That is Tenacious D. That song is so surprisingly catchy. I think it's like the hidden track at the end of one of their random albums. And it's so good. Now I'm going to have it in my head all day and I'm happy about it. Malibu Nights, Tangerine Dreams. Yes. No. God, I'm so on point that I'm probably going to get a copyright strike for that music. Kenneth had been expecting opposition from the likes of polluters such as Shell Oil and Texaco, but certainly not from environmentalist Barbra Streisand. A Los Angeles Superior Court ruled that the aerial photograph did not constitute a violation of privacy, and Barbara was ordered to pay over $177,000 in legal fees and court costs. Suck it, Barbara, suck it! The only thing I know about Barbra Streisand is there was a bad song that was played like a club song or whatever that was like Barbra Streisand. That's the only thing I know. I haven't heard that song in 10 years. That's the only thing I know about Barbra Streisand, other than this lawsuit that she filed. But here's the thing. Before Barbara filed this lawsuit, the almost anonymous image, 3,850, had been viewed a total of 6 times. 2 of those views from Barbara's own lawyers, while a third was from her neighbour, who was embroiled in a long-running dispute over Barbara's plans to expand the property. The subsequent publicity of the lawsuit led to 420,000 new views of the image. Within just a month, and Barbara's plush pad suddenly became a certified insane hit. And it's like, yeah, I can picture this in my mind. I know what Barbra Streisand's Malibu house looks like. I never would know this if it wasn't a thing. And not only has she been a victim of the Streisand effect, she's who it's named after. It's gone so wrong, Barbara. She might well have been better off just leaving image 3850 well alone. Well, obviously, because many people have viewed it. Everyone knows where her house is. Everyone knows what it looks like. And she's out $177,000, which is probably not a lot of money to her. But, you know, it is a lot. But despite the coining of the Streisand effect in 2005, others were strangely slow on learning from the valuable lesson that had cost Barbara $177,000.
But it seems like you haven't learned anything. Anything. You think on it.
Banned numbers. Can something as simple as a number ever be made illegal? A consortium of big tech names were certainly willing to give it a go in 2007 when they tried to slap an internet ban on the publishing of an encryption key, a 128-bit hexadecimal number known commonly as the 09F9 for short. The Advanced Access Content System, AACS, is a copy protection technology which is used by movie and tech and software companies to prevent duplication and general mucking about with HD DVDs and Blu-ray discs. This must be in the past, right? People don't have HD DVDs and Blu-ray discs anymore, do they? Do people? But these, I see these in stores though. Are people buying these because HD DVD and Blu-ray is high def, right? So 1080p. But now there's 4K, and surely that can't fit on it. Are there 4K disc players? I don't think so, right? So what are people buying in those with those discs and stuff?
You think on it.
Like, I know when you buy a video game, there's good reason to buy video. I mean, okay, so you can make the argument so you own it and you can sell it if you want to. But that seems to me to make a bit more sense with video games, because then you're paying like 70 quid for a game or whatever, and at least then if you sell the console, you can sell the disc and say like, hey, can you know, there's a value in the game. But if you change platform, and like I bought GTA 5 3 times, because I play on PC, I played on Xbox, and I played on PlayStation. I paid for it 3 individual times. And that's kind of annoying. So if I sold one of those consoles, I want to be able to sell the game, but I can't because I downloaded it. So I get, people are following along with me, right? There's a reason to own those discs. But movies? Why? Really?
Would you tell Picasso to sell his guitars?
It's essentially an electronic lock, which prevents you from just shoving a disk into your computer and copying the content. But every lock has a key, and in this case, that encryption key was the secret long list of digits that could be represented in a hexadecimal as the 09F9 code. When a determined enthusiast cracked and published the code in 2007, most significantly on the American social news website Dig, this created a bit of a headache for the industry. They couldn't just change the number, as it had been built into both discs and players. This was your grand solution against copyright piracy? It's a f***ing shit solution.
I know, well, you know.
That's it. It's bad. The only course of action was to bring out the heavy guns and try to make the number illegal. Some might argue that it's impossible to outlaw a series of numbers or make it illegal to even speak them out loud, like some sort of anarchist. But maybe that's not so entirely absurd. I'm pretty sure a newspaper would land itself in legal hot water if it ever decided to publish the Queen's private telephone number. Ooh, great point, Danny. I was like, this is really hard. But that's a good point. Again, it's just a series of numbers, but it's an unprintable series of numbers, especially if she paid the extra £1 a year to get X directory. Is that a thing anymore? Do they have online directories of phone numbers with people's names in it? Because that is like, that should not be allowed. I don't even know. I don't live in the UK anymore, but there used to be like a big, like when I was a kid, you'd get a big phone book delivered, and you'd flick through it, and it would have just a huge list of everyone's names, and then their initials and their phone number. And that just seems insane today. Like, I'll be like, what the f***? If my mobile, like, I don't have a landline anymore, because of course I don't. But if my mobile phone number is in some sort of book, I'll be like, what the f*** is this? Are you joking? Now I've got to change my mobile phone number, which is a massive hassle. As I found out once when I allegedly got a phone bill that I felt was unfair. I just didn't pay it and got a new mobile phone. I was like, f*** you. I mean, allegedly, someone who's not me was like, f*** you. I'm not paying that. And then I just got a new SIM card. And never thought about it again. Not me, allegedly.
Nope, stop talking, go to jail.
A mighty consortium, including Disney, IBM, and Microsoft, felt that they certainly had the right to force websites to remove the 09F9 number when they sent out cease and desist letters arguing that publication of the number violated the US Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Although Dig initially caved into the threat, they faced a backlash from their users and later lifted the ban in brave defiance of Bill Gates and friends. It should be noted that nobody was ever ultimately prosecuted for daring to publish the forbidden number. Not that many people would have known how to make use of the encryption key, even if they could recite the whole thing at will. But The consortium's attempts to suppress the number sparked a digital revolt, which turned into one of the most famous numbers on the internet. Within just a few weeks, the F909 number appeared on 280,000 website pages. This started popping up on t-shirts and mugs. Some has went so far as to get a permanent tattoo. Legends. Another part of the consortium's strategy that backfired were the DCMA takedown notices targeted at any websites to have published the number. Many of these dedicated websites included the band number within their actual URLs, which had to be referenced in the takedown notices. This is a comedy of errors. So every time the consortium issued a new publicly viewable takedown notice, they were in fact just publishing their own band number. Perhaps most famously of all, the number was immortalized on the charming little song 09F9, a personal soulful track composed and performed by Keith Bergen, which has now racked up close to 1 million views on YouTube. I love this shit. The entire lyrics might just be made up of that number in full, but it still manages to be more meaningful than anything produced by Nickelback. Oi! Look at this photograph! Sometimes it makes me laugh. Nickelback aren't that bad. I think Nickelback get a lot of shit. Axl and Beyonce. There are times when the Streisand effect appears more than just a little unjustified and cruel. When Axl Rose took to the stage with Guns N' Roses in 2010, it was noted by many that he looked a little different from his 80s heyday. The heavy metal news site Gauntlet were pretty blunt in their own assessment as they ran the cruel headline, "OMG, Axl Rose is fat." Look. This is one of those things where you gotta, surely you're Axl Rose, you've got to have grown quite a thick skin by this point, right? It'd be like if someone goes, look at Simon, he's bald. I'm like, yeah, I am, okay. So, it doesn't bother me at all because I'm bald. I guess maybe if I was fat, I'd be like, I don't know, I'm not fat, how do I know?
It's called empathy. Use it once in a while, you dumb.
Axl's lawyers attempted to get the subsequent Fat Axl meme removed from the internet via DMCA takedown notices aimed directly at Google on the slightly dodgy grounds that the photographer didn't own the copyright to his own photographs. No, that is not how that works. But of course, this just made the Fat Axl meme grow to even bigger proportions as the image of a portly Axl was... Axl? Did I just call him Axe? As the image of a portly Axl was shared on thousands of websites, along with such a lyric twisting captions as, "Oh, sweet pie of mine." Knock, knock, knocking on McDonald's door. Oh, it is like savage. And welcome to the bakery. Welcome to the bakery. We've got tons of cake. Love it. There's a lot of singing in this episode. I humbly apologize. I was argued at the time that Axl may have had more luck in removing the image if it just asked politely instead of getting heavy with takedown requests and copyright theft accusations. But I'm not so sure. Just look at what happened with Beyonce. Following Beyonce's high-energy Super Bowl performance in 2013, BuzzFeed ran a story which listed the 33 fiercest moments from Beyonce's halftime show. And yes, she did look strangely fierce in some of those snaps, during which she's flexing her muscles, thrusting her groin, grimacing, and generally pulling some weird facial expressions. Oh, I think I've seen these. This is, this is another one which I'd have never seen if it had been like a famous internet meme. The star's own publicist felt that some of these images were unflattering, to say the least, and wrote an email to BuzzFeed in which she politely asked them to remove some of the worst offenders. BuzzFeed's response was to completely ignore the request and immediately run a follow-up article called "The Unflattering Photos Beyonce's Publicist Didn't Want You to See." It's BuzzFeed. What did you f***ing expect? I like that they were polite, but BuzzFeed's just like, it. Are you going to reply? I get tons of emails of people being like, I did like this. It's like, I'm just not going to reply. And if I am, it's going to be sarcastic because I'm feeling a little bit spicy that day. Or maybe I'll make good Twitter content. This time focusing entirely on the images that the publicist had singled out for removal. This led to mass media coverage in the US press and the rise of the unflattering Beyonce meme, in which the singer was photoshopped to take on the appearance of a weightlifter, a wrestler, a zombie, and the Incredible Hulk. Seems a bit unfair though. Even just making reasonable requests without any legal threat is enough to summon the full wrath of the Streisand effect. The Church of Tom Cruise. I should preface this one. I know we're going to get into like Tom Cruise jumping on a couch and all that shit. I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. Just let's get that out there at the beginning. So this is going to be biased. I saw Top Gun Maverick. This was months ago now. It was a beautiful movie. Perfect movie. Perfect movie. Perfect acting from Tom Cruise. And his perfect self.
That's a little gay.
Hold on.
You can understand why the Church of Scientology might want to take a tough stance on anyone who dares to question the frothy-mouthed truths that they preach. But one of the ultimate examples of the Streisand effect in glorious cosmic motion was when they tried to suppress video footage of perhaps their most famous member extolling the virtues of Scientology and ended up accidentally spawning an entire movement against the church. The 9-minute video in question was uploaded to YouTube in 2007 and featured Tom Cruise banging on about the benefits of Scientology. You'd think the church would be happy about this, but it appears not. Perhaps this is because Tom Cruise comes across as a deranged madman. He cackles maniacally while making an increasingly bizarre list of suggestions, including his belief that Scientologists are the only people on Earth who are truly qualified to cure addiction and offer help after witnessing a car accident. Steady on, Tom. I mean, I don't like if I've been injured in some horrible car accident. It's like, no, get away from me. Wait, are you a Scientologist? No, get away! You gotta wait for the Scientologist to arrive. Science is right in the name!
We've never seen you behave this way before.
I know.
Have you ever felt this way before?
The video may have attracted a few chuckles from viewers, but the church wasn't laughing. They reckon that the footage was pirated and heavily edited to make poor Tom look like a bit of an idiot, and they immediately got busy with the issuing of DCMA takedown notices in a bid to permanently remove the offending footage from the internet. Even though the Church of Scientology might consider itself to be an entity that you don't want to mess with, you could say the exact same about activist collective Anonymous, comprised of members of 4chan and 711chan. I didn't even know that one. The leaderless internet group launched Protest Chanology in direct response to the church's attempts to bury the Tom Cruise video. Love, like, Anonymous is always up to the best shit. Like, anything there, like, some government's up to some shady shit, some giant company, Scientology, Anonymous are like, we're anonymous. And we know things about computers that you can't see. They're like, you know that meme where it's like, there's the person with the expanding brain and all of this stuff. I feel like Anonymous are like the big brain version of computers, and they're just like, it's not going to be a good time for you. The mission behind the new movement was to disrupt the church's operations and ultimately expel the church from the internet. Some of the stunts they pulled might be considered a bit immature. They bombarded their officers with prank calls. The church was forced to switch off all their fax machines because they were just relentlessly churning out black pages that were purposefully draining toner. One guy, faxes are crazy, right? You could just send something to someone else's printer, essentially, which, like, that's weird. One guy stripped down to shorts and boots, smeared himself in Vaseline, pubic hair and toenail clippings. And went on a jolly run around the church's offices in NYC, attempting to spread his homemade mixture across every visible surface. Dude. Also, what's that got to do with Anonymous about computer hacking, no? Or like sending toner to people's faxes, which, legit. He was pretty tough to catch because he was so slippery. But there were some more effective side too. Thousands of members gathered in protest right around the world. Some of the church's dodgier practices were publicly exposed, such as their efforts to squeeze increasingly big donations from their manipulated members, and their weird recruiting strategy, which included targeting troubled souls with group therapy ads and Craigslist that never actually mentioned the church. Yeah, I don't know if that's unique to Scientology though, is it? Like, hey, you'll be just on the street, or like people will come to your house, or like friends, or evangelicals will be like, they're not always like, have you heard the word? They're like, oh, we meet up on Thursday evenings, just some friends of mine, and we have some coffee and all this stuff. And you're like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. It's like, oh, hello, I've stumbled into religion. No. The movement also highlighted the ridiculous tax-exempt status of the church in place since 1993, which effectively means that Americans helping to subsidize the religion. The controversy on that one still rages today, but Project Chanology has at least helped draw attention to a wrong that needs to be righted. The church's response to all of this change... Are churches charities, then? Or in America? I don't actually know. Like, I don't know in the UK whether churches... I guess, I don't know. But it does seem weird that you can just be like, because I don't know, but then where do you draw the line? Like, where do you draw the line in religion? Because if it's like, okay, I've got, like, fine, I can see why you might want to make, like, churches and religion and stuff like taxing. Can I? I'm not so sure. It doesn't matter, let's move on. The church's response to this changed pretty rapidly. They initially dismissed the movement as a bunch of computer geeks who had the wrong information.
Okay, smartass, let's see what this mystery's all about.
And after witnessing just how much of a stink these computer geeks could kick up, the church later described them as cyber terrorists who were perpetrating religious hate crimes. Next time, they should maybe consider giving Tom Cruise a script to work with. Some of the bigger organizations are finally getting wise to the Streisand effect after all these years. In 2013, Randy Moore made his directorial debut with Escape from Tomorrow, an unusual movie project in that it was filmed guerrilla style with a handheld camera and mobile phones in the Walt Disney World and Disneyland theme parks without permission. And that's going to get you in trouble. And the problem is, okay, sure, so this movie's going to get blown up if it turns into some giant lawsuit that Disney's going to suppress, but you ain't going to make any money off that because Disney's going to take that money because it's Disney. Disney is like, I feel this is Disney's face to the public. And this is Disney behind the scenes. You know, it's like one is evil and one is not. And not that Disney's evil, I'd never say that. Disney, I love you. Disney would have been unlikely to grant permission for the dark fantasy as it features Disney princesses who are actually high-end prostitutes, park visitors going down with cat flu, decapitations on Splash Mountain, druggy hallucinations, bodily fluids, and suggestive pedophilia. Uh-oh. This ain't no Donald Duck Takes a Holiday. There was a general assumption that Disney World would try and ban the sick movie from getting released, and it seems to me that Randy Moore was completely relying on a high-publicity lawsuit from Disney to propel his little film into full-blown notoriety. He must have felt a bit miffed when Disney's response was to completely ignore it. Ultra big brain move from Disney right there. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Look, and also, this is big or small. Just ignore it. Just ignore. If people are criticizing you, you're going to draw more attention by having a lawsuit or responding in any way. Just be like, pass. And if you've never heard of Escape from Tomorrow, then you have to concede that this cunning strategy worked. Mickey is smarter than the average mouse. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Because Disney is like this. Just constantly. Just thinking, plotting. And they've all got lawyers who are all like this. Constantly, in deep thought. Thanks for watching. I have a house. I have an office. I like to keep them warm. I don't have solar panels. I drive a car that is, too thirsty.
How dare you?